Hi, and thank you for joining us for the Always Right podcast. As always, I am Carissa DeLay, and this is
Jamie Vendera, and today in this podcast, we're going to talk about redundancy.
yes.
Yes, we're going to talk about redundancy. Is it old yet?
Is it
We're going to talk about
redundant?
redundancy.
Redundancy? Are we talking about that?
Yes,
Okay, good.
redundancy.
Yeah, got it.
All right. You know what? I've written a lot of books, and one of my best-selling books of all time is Raise Your Voice. Thousands and thousands. I don't even know how many copies I've sold of that. It's the worst book I've ever written because it's so redundant, and I haven't. It's funny. I haven't had Rich Dalglish edit it or my Ultimate Breathing workout yet because it's like it's so massive and there's so much stuff I got to do, and I know I got to get it done, but I repeat myself so many times, and I've actually that's been pointed out to people to me. But I'm like, yeah, I'm going to edit it, and I swear to you, Chris, and most of them say, no, please don't. I like it for that type of book.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay because if I'm teaching a student about singing, and I'm like, you gotta bear down for support. You gotta bear down for support. I say that again and again and again. So that type of training book, redundancy in that situation isn't so bad. I still think I've overdone it. In a fiction thing, nope.
No.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, no. Even when you hit the nail on the head there with the whole because you're teaching, you almost have to be redundant. You have to be repetitious because they say that the first time you hear something, you retain 2% or something like that.
Yep.
Second time it's 8%, and then third time is 60%. It's so the more you hear it, the more you retain it in a teaching atmosphere, in a teaching I'm trying to get you to remember something atmosphere. When you're writing fiction or you're writing a descriptive thing, say you're writing a college essay about yourself, or you're doing fiction to describe a situation, you do not want to be redundant in the words that you're using. Obviously, certain words are going to be repeated, said, the, he, she, all these different words that do repeat. But if you're using a word like calibration, or you're using a word that's describing the color yellow, don't use that 7 times to describe the word yellow. Find another way.
Correct. And there, and this, just so you understand, say a character has a broken leg and he's like, man, I can't wait to get this cast off. And his buddy's like, yeah, we'll be playing basketball in no time. And he's like, no, they said it's permanent. So then there's going to be something wrong with his leg. So maybe next chapter he's like, he kind of fell down the stairs. So we've set it up. So you're mentioning it a couple times so you understand this person has something wrong with her leg and they had surgery and it's not reparable. It's going to be the way it's life. But if every flipping check, you're like, here comes peg leg, that's going to get old really quick. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, I know. Can you shut up about it already?
Right. Well, and I had someone read it, give a review on my book, and this kind of helped me a little bit. In the first, they're like, the character's always on her phone. And this was kind of pre what we are now. Today, everybody's on their phone. So that's, whatever. But this person had a role that was quite important, that her phone would be ringing. So there was a reason she was always on her phone. There were people messaging. In this new book, people were texting. The killer is a texter. He likes to send his next victim messages. So there is a texting there is a reason to be on the phone, but I'm not gonna be I'm doing this oh, they picked up their flip phone. You already know they got a flip phone,
They got a flip phone. I can't do that.
One of the officers has a flip phone because we know he's older. He's not going to be using the most modern version of a phone. He's going to have the most basic thing just to get by. He's going to still write on paper, versus his younger partner who's going to have
still on dial-up.
Everything. Yeah. He's still got the basic plan.
But you know what? I don't consider that redundancy, though, and I know you don't either, because it's setting it up. It's like Scary Movie. Do you want to play a game or whatever it is? I
just watched it the other night, by the way.
Yeah, Scary. Or what's not Scary Movie? What's the real one?
Well, there's Scream.
Scream. Yes.
Yeah, Scream. Which my youngest and we just watched that. I was like, "What are you in the mood to watch?" She's like, "I'm kind of in the mood to watch Scream." I'm like, "Okay." So we did, which we've watched all of them. We love the Scream series, of course.
I did too. I still like the Scary Movie ones, though.
Oh yeah, the scary the play on it, the whole comedy about it.
Yeah.
I think the one I can remember is the Michael Jackson one where they're doing a play on The Ring, where you get the phone call.
Yes.
Michael Jackson in there. Yeah. Remember that one?
Uh,
Well, I'm going to introduce my kids to that. I don't know if they've actually watched the Scary Movie ones.
you'd be like, you want to watch a real horror movie?
Yes, you want
You love
scary? We're
Scream?
watching this at
Okay.
night. And then get them all
Yes.
psyched out for scary movies and be
Yeah.
like,
And they'll be like,
they,
Mom,
they've watched
what?
they've watched all the scary movies that they'd be making fun of. So they would totally get everything.
You can't be like, I know you love Scream, so did you know that they made another series? And this,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Have you
because
touched it?
we've watched The Ring. They've watched The Ring. Like, listen, we raise our kids on scary movies. We didn't want our, and we
Good
explained like
parents.
makeup. They understood from a very early age it was makeup, not to be scared, just enjoy the art. So, all right. So redundancy. All right. So there are the ways that I can correct as far as me personally, what I do. I use when I'm writing. I use Grammarly a lot. And Grammarly, if you pay for the premium, which is totally worth it because I'm a college student, when I'm trying to make sure there's no plagiarism, make sure my words aren't being, like I can even set it up to be like an APA or, like a different type of style, a Chicago style or whatever my professor's asking for. Grammarly lets me do that. By the way, we are not sponsored by Grammarly, but I do use it. And
I don't belong to. I don't. I'm not only do I am the president for Hair Club for Men, but I'm also a member.
client.
Yes.
No, but I literally love Grammarly. Like, if there's two things I could push, honestly, that are product wise, would be Apple product
Yeah.
and Grammarly. Grammarly has helped me because with writing, I literally have a Grammarly document for every single chapter of my book.
Wow.
It has it listed up there, and I can set the tone of every book. You can literally set what type of voice you want to use. Like, do I want it to sound confident? Do I want it to sound a little more passive? How do I want this to come across? You can set that up.
You've been on me for well over a year to get Grammarly, probably because of my professional text to speech skills.
Yes.
However, hearing this, you talk about this. I think we ought to eventually do a podcast, and you talk about because
Just
now
grammar.
you got me interested. I'm like, really? Well, then I could finish like the Siren series. I could go and have that tone, just to make it a little quicker. Where I'm so busy,
Yeah.
like right, Chris. So yes, I'm interested now. I want to
Yeah,
watch that
so
podcast.
like when I'm writing words, I love using words that oh man, I don't want to use the word understanding every single time. So I'll write the word understanding. I double click on the word understanding. Grammarly will give me a list of things that mean the same thing, and it gives you the type. Like it'll tell you different ways the word understanding can be used and how you'd want to use it. So it's not just a bunch of thesaurus type words, but it will tell you like understanding if you're talking about I understand you, or is this understanding like I have an understanding? So which one do you want to use?
Yeah, well, I also think it would be cool because if, say, a character you had a character who's kind of smartass, and they're like, sounds like a personal problem. And they use that, they always saying that, okay, you would want that quite a bit, but when does it reach the point of redundant? So I guess you could go through Grammarly and be like, I said that 27 times in this 400-page book. Yeah, let me cut that in half. Where is it really prominent?
Right. So another thing you can do, like once I'm done with Grammarly, I take and once I format everything's good to go, I copy paste into my Word document. And so once I have the whole thing in my Word document, you just hit the little search thing on your Word document and you type in a phrase, see how many times you used it.
What Word document do you use? What app?
I use the Word app. I use
Microsoft Word. Okay.
Yeah, because you can use Microsoft Word on your Apple.
Yeah, I can't. I started out with Microsoft Word, and I just been doing Google Docs for years because that's how Daniel and I started writing fiction. I've looked at it. I mean, have you compared them? This is another podcast. I would love to discuss Microsoft Word versus Google Docs, which is
right.
Not saying one is better than the other, but
no, I use Google Docs with you. I use Google Docs with you.
Yeah.
When it comes to like certain things we're working on and we're just editing together. I recently worked with a girl who's a senior at she's a senior at the high school here. Oh my gosh, my kids are messaging me. Sorry if it's dinging.
You told them about Dave Kegner, didn't you?
No, I didn't. I'm not going to send them that picture until this weekend.
Okay. Now you're going to make me re-download the Microsoft Word.
Well, so app. Yeah, so I worked with a student and we were kind of working on her paper that she was sending to for a college thing. And oh my gosh, listen.
Oh, I already got it on my phone.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one I had that I wasn't crazy about. It had a little elephant on it. My partner made me get it, and it was like 120 a year. Oh shoot, what was it called? Where are your subscriptions at?
That would be in if you go to your
Yep,
settings.
found it. Evernote. And so, I mean, I don't want to. A lot of people use Evernote. I won't dissuade it,
What's
but
Evernote?
it's kind of like another Microsoft Word or a Google Drive. But I just didn't get into it. And for one, I'm not being. It's not even that expensive. It's only personal. Yeah, it is. 104.99. Professionals 149.99 a year, 549 a month. Uh,
Word is free.
yeah, I see.
Google Doc is free.
That blows my mind because think about back in the day. I would buy Microsoft Word 2000, then I'd have to get the upgrade 2 years later and buy it all over again just to keep it up. So it drove me nuts, and that's eventually why about 2008 I quit using Microsoft Word. I was like, I'm tired of running and buying the software and putting the floppy disk or the CD in my drive to put it on my computer. Of course, that's ancient times. So I will check it out. I will play with it so we
And
can
so
make
the
comparisons.
thing is, whenever I plug from Grammarly to Word Doc, it'll do a whole nother re-edit for me.
Really?
Yes, so you can go into the settings and have Word do like an edit for you. Like you can set up its editing tools, which we can talk about that more in detail on another podcast. But yeah, so I do that, and what it does is it helps me. Like I'm going to go in there and see how many times did I use the word he in a sentence, and I'm going to go and you can literally type it in, and it'll tell you how many times, and you just hit the arrow button. You can okay, that one's good, that one's good, that one's good. Then you can go in and correct that one.
Just
So,
if you're talking about Michael Jackson, you go, hee! Don't erase that one because that belongs.
oh yeah, that's supposed to stay, I guess.
Okay. I'm such a dork.
But that's what I was saying. Is like you can find ways. Just remember to check your like what words do you typically in conversation overly say. And you feel like, man, I think I've wrote this word a lot. And if you like where I separate all the chapters, it's not going to like if I'm writing in Grammarly one whole chapter. If there's a redundant paragraph in the chapter, Grammarly will say, "Hey, this seems like you've repeated yourself." It will tell me you've already said this in this chapter, and it'll show me where.
And this is
So,
good for self-editing to
mhm,
prepare for your actual editor,
right.
to save you money, to not make them work harder. Get your document set as clean as possible before you send it off to them.
Yeah, and if you find yourself like, man, I've said that, like there's a word you really like, just write it down or be like, go through your whatever document source that you're using. I don't know if you can do that in Google Doc. I've used Google Doc with you, but I've not done it as far as for the writing. Google Word docs are kind of required for my college papers, so I just kind of stick with it and how I have to make sure that things are in there properly. But
So with your Microsoft Word, does it save on your phone or are you hooked to a cloud account like Google?
well, it's on my laptop, but it's on all of my devices. So if I have the app on my phone, it's in my sign in, so I can pull up anything where I am. Like if I have it saved on my Word thing here, and then it's going to be on my phone, it's going to be on my iPad. So anything that has my iCloud
Gotcha.
account that it's signed into, it has that. So yeah, that makes that a
Gotcha.
lot. Yeah. So
No,
like, what about you when it comes to your series and redundancy?
you know what? I've had to literally, Rich Dalglish, honestly, I learned a lot from him. And in the beginning, when I had all those pen names, he's like, man, that Jamie Lynn Saunders, she repeats, this word a lot. I picked up on it from him. Of course, he corrected that since he was editing it. But going forward, I would pay attention. And I think what would catch my uh, attention is if I use a word like blimey, flipping crazies. I'm just making stuff up. But if it was a phrase like that, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to remember I said that. So it's not that I've checked for it, but
Mhm.
now I'm watching this podcast. It makes me want to, be a little more focused when
I,
I do it.
you're
I'll get over my
mindful of
ADHD into it. I
yeah.
use Grammarly. But I will catch that if for something I'm saying or a way that I word it, like like it sounds like a personal problem, or Galton with
Yes,
as he took.
phrases.
Yes, it's and you. The thing with me is I remember them like, wait a minute, I've said that somewhere before, and in that case, I have done a search. Where
Yes.
did I
So,
say that? Where did I
mhm.
say there was a speckle of like a purple in their eye in the green? Said that.
And so that's why I always, when I'm done with a chapter, I immediately transfer it over to a Word doc. So I'm actually saving it in 2 cloud versions. I'm saving it on my Word and I'm saving it on my Grammarly. They both exist in case one crashes. You know what I mean?
Yep.
In case one gets deleted somehow. And so, like, if I'm writing, I'm like, oh, what did I say about them? I can go to my Word doc and say, type it in. Like, okay, that's what I called them. Also, when you are done, this has nothing to do with redundancy, but it's really smart to go through your character lists and make sure you've named them all correctly.
You would not believe how many times I have misspelled, like, especially if you're coming up with bizarre names like Estradane or Eve Onan or Pim the Knife or something. I will have to go back and check it. And Pim the Knife, you'd be like, oh, you won't forget that. You know, I'm Pim. They call me the Knife. But there's times I've said Pim the Knight.
Yeah.
Because it was olden times,
Yeah,
and I
don't
just
type
didn't
the whole
think.
thing out. Just type the beginning part, and it'll bring you all of them. You could double check. Just hit your little arrow, and it just scrolls right down, and you could double check that.
And if you got spell check on your phone and you're flying, and you go like KNIFT instead of E, it might not change it back to knife. It might change it to night. Yeah, so you have to double check everything, not just that. What they're
Wait,
wearing.
Do
If
you
they
type
wear,
your book on your phone?
I do. Nowadays, I'm literally.
Interesting.
And you know, it's goofy. Like I'm doing this with you on my podcast on my iPad, and I have a iPad Magic Keyboard, so I can type. I did that for you because you like the sound.
Yes. No, I
But
don't.
but there's sometimes I'm flying. If I'm in that writer's mood, but I'll be laying in bed and I'll be doing that. Or if I'm driving, I'll turn on text to speech. Yes, I know I have a lot of typos to correct when I do that, but I will try
No
to
comment.
talk plainly. So I was made fun of last
You
night in the
should
Dr.
totally
Vox
make
meeting.
a book that is just text to typing, no matter what it says. Just let it go. You
I
should
get
just
teased
let
by
it
her.
roll and be like, "This is what text to typing creates," and then make it just like a blooper book. Like, this is what I meant to say, but this is what text to talk made me say.
Good. So don't be redundant.
Yeah, so like, that's the same thing. It's almost like songs have chorus lines. Those are not redundant because you're looking for the chorus, but like sometimes there are songs that you're like, are there any other words in this song? Like,
Yeah, or God, I hate to bring this up, but I remember a church we used to go to. They do like the latest CCM songs, and it'd be like Jesus, 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 holy, holy, holy. That's fine. You get through it. But we had this one keyboard player and singer. I swear to you, if the song was 3 minutes long, it would end up being 6 minutes long because she'd be like, holy, 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 Jesus, and she'd kick back into the chorus. I'm like, that's not serving anything. It's just redundancy in it. Like, I can't stand redundancy in a song, in a book, and no disrespect, but it's like, pay attention. You're going to lose your audience.
You're going to lose your audience. Agreed. All right. So, yeah, we have some exciting stuff coming up. We've discussed some things that we're going to bring more information to you in some upcoming podcasts. We're going to start a series on the book club, where we're going to read books. We're going to give you a few weeks to purchase the books, where we're going to, on our end, for if you purchase a Vendera book that we're going to be reading, you're going to get a cheaper rate. And then like 3 weeks after that, you'll be able to join us for the podcast where we discuss it, and you can join in. We're also going to do a couple lives. We talked about even having Katie on. Maybe Katie can go live with us, and then maybe you can order her books, and she might be able to send you out some copies, signed copies. So yeah, a lot of cool stuff. What was some of the other things? Did we talk about anything else?
I'm sure we did, but I saw a squirrel and my mind went that way.
Oh my gosh, yes.
We talked about like the copywriting, going deeper into ISBNs, to make sure that you really understand. Whether if you're not self-publishing, it's not a big deal. But if you are, man, you want to make sure you do everything correctly so your book is accessible to get bought by libraries. It can be purchased all over the world. So there are a lot of steps that you want to go.
Yeah, that's something that's important, because I remember, and like I said, we'll discuss this, but like I remember when I went to the library to see if they would order my book, they said, well, is your book with this printing company? Because if it's not, by law and by the laws abiding in their grant, the way their grant was written up for what they could purchase, they couldn't purchase from a secondary printer. They can only buy books from a certain type of printing company.
Yep.
But
So
yeah,
that's easy. Booker, PCN, all of that we'll cover, and
yeah.
it's not that hard. As soon as you set it up and go through all that Baker and Taylor and all that, boom, you're set up. Anyway, and I've
Mm-hmm.
actually had people. I had a company call me, "Hey, I want to order some books from you," and I did it last time. I said, "No, you didn't. You ordered through this revenue, this avenue. I didn't handle any of that. Well, it's harder for me to do that." And you'll get a lot of this. Well, I will actually talk about that. I don't suggest you do that because some they'll be like, "We'll pay you in 3 months." Oh, we didn't sell any. So there was an old
Yeah.
Standard Publishing like, "Oh well, we didn't sell these books, so we're going to ditch them in a trash can. We're not going to
Mm-hmm.
pay for them. That's the way it is."
Yeah.
So we want to protect you against all of that.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, so just kind of keep in mind some of the things that we've said when you're writing. But the key is to always write. Don't stop writing. And hopefully we've helped you a little bit through the podcast and previous podcasts and upcoming podcasts. Maybe they'll be your guiding, and maybe we're just like some kind of I don't goofy inspiration for you. I don't know. maybe
Well,
I don't
I'm
know.
the goofy. You're the inspiration, so we're good to
I
go.
don't know. All right, but thank you for listening. Again, this is the Always Right Podcast. You could always email us at alwaysrightpodcast@gmail.com. You can reach out to us on our socials if you have questions or ideas, or just in general want to give a shout out. Until next time, I am Carissa DeLay, and this is
Jamie Vendera. We'll see you
Jamie
soon.
Vendera. All right, thanks for listening.
Jamie Gendera. It's all right. Yeah, something like that.
Let's go with it.